This is Sana and Adya from Team Envisionly, and today we'll be speaking to a Naval Commander, Prasanna.
I'm Commander Prasanna, a retired naval officer. I was there in 3rd batch of Indian Navy and commissioned in 94. I was working as an air traffic controller in the aviation section of Indian Navy. My job involves like an aircraft, when they start the engine till the time they switch off, it is under the control of an air traffic controller, maybe in that particular place or where he is flying to reach his destination. So it is considered as one of the very toughest job in the world, which requires utmost concentration. You need to have total alertness, and you cannot afford to have a mistake for what you're doing.
So, how would you describe your job in 3 words?
It requires utmost concentration, alertness, and zero error.
So, what actually inspired you to join the Navy? I think you already answered this when you were giving the introduction, but still, like,
see what happens. I come from a very middle class family. So in those days, if you are good at your studies, either you join engineering or medicine, or someone will take up legal profession, or maximum as a chartered accountant. So those days there was no Google, there was no email. Either you need to meet someone who have already achieved what he wanted, or go to a library and refer some books to understand more about a profession. So I wanted to do something different. So I thought of taking up civil service. 92 was the year when women officers started joining armed forces. Considering my NCC background, and I was having my A and B and C certificate, and I was selected as All India Cadet Captain in 2 international camps. So I was already dreaming of wearing that white uniform with golden stripes, and my college was very close to Southern Naval Command Cochin. So morning while we walk to the college, you will find all naval officers rushing to the office in that white uniform. So it was like we always used to look upon those people, say, wow, all smart officers are moving around. So we never found any lady officer there. Suddenly this thing happened, and I thought I will try, because I had no clue that I think around 30,000 candidates must have applied, and vacancies was 7, including male. So this is something that the pure competition, there is no difference, and out of 7 vacancies, 6 of us were ladies.
Wonderful.
All of them are doing extremely well. How I got into armed forces, that was my passion towards uniform and disciplinary service. During my school and college days, I was associated with NCC and outdoor activities, and I was a state level table tennis player, and also I used to participate in various cultural events like Hindi declamation. When I was in 8th standard, I was position 4th All India, and I have won couple of competition in quiz and as well as debate, and also participated in many general knowledge exams in national and international level.
So, what exactly is the process of joining the Navy?
Earlier days, based on your graduation cutoff, you were called for the Service Selection Board interview. Now the pattern has changed, even the qualification has changed, and after that you are required to apply, you are required to go for the interview, which is almost 5 days. So first day there is a screening test. Whoever clears that, they will continue in the center. Otherwise, you will be sent back, and those who qualify that, they will go through psychological, group testing officer and interviewing officer's test, and a final day there is a conference. So you need to clear in psychology, group testing officer and interviewing officer's part, and finally in the conference all of them put together will give you the final assessment. And in armed forces, they don't require super intelligent person. They require average intelligence and few officer-like qualities which are laid out. It's around 15 qualities which they are looking for. So you should be an average person. You should have the determination. You should have the zeal. You should have that kind of a passion towards armed forces. That's it.
What kind of educational qualification do you need to join the Navy?
Earlier it was graduation and post-graduation. Now mostly it is BTech in specified branches.
What exactly is the training process that you have to go through? Like you said, after you passed the test, you said there was some professional training. So what exactly goes on?
Like once we need to do little bit of computer knowledge. We should have little bit of computer knowledge. We should have little bit of like how do you do the communication, official communication. There is a format for every communication, and there's this. We need to follow certain protocol for many of our communication. Okay, and thereafter basics about the navigation, basics about all aspects of naval life. There are certain lays or norms which are to be followed, so somebody will have to educate or guide you. And also, suppose you need to go on board a ship, there are certain stuff which you need to understand. What are the basic things? Suppose any fire happens, how do you rescue? Suppose some damage happens to the ship, how do you survive? The swimming test, like there are a lot of things. Like it's all like a college syllabus. We have certain syllabus to follow and understand, and some rules which are followed when the ship is navigated through a channel. So, and for the basic air traffic controllers, it is like a traffic police controlling aircraft. So we have certain rules which are to be followed for an aircraft which flies in the air. The levels which are maintained, the speed which are maintained. So it is a big. We have hundreds of books to understand and to become a controller. Like a corporate job where you punch in and punch out at that particular time. We are on call 24/7, 365 days. And suppose I want to go on leave, I apply for a leave. I cannot just walk out, I have applied, I can go. The leave has to be approved. They need to have the necessary document, permission for me to leave the duty station and go to respective place. And if I am traveling out of India, then I should have prior permission. And suppose if I go abroad, I am supposed to come back and submit a report. So we are bound by Navy rules. There are Navy laws, Act, everything. So I have to be within that frame to move around till the time I wear that uniform.
As you said that it's not like a corporate job, but even then if you had to stay on average, like how much free time does your job allow?
See, during peace time, suppose you don't have any major activities planned. Like as an air traffic controller, we had shift duties. So if I go on an afternoon shift, next day is my my morning and night, and third day is my off. But there are some places where you go at 7:30, come back at 1:30. Tuesdays and Thursdays you go back in the afternoon, come back at 5:30. Saturday, Sundays, most of the bases it is off. But one person is always on duty on a Saturday, Sunday, 24 hours. Like you have to be there in the office. You just come out for your meal, that's it. Some job involves you need to sleep there only. Some job involves you can come to your house and stay, but you cannot leave the campus.
So if you could name like one, say the most important thing that made you glad you became, like you joined the Navy, what would it be?
I have participated, there was a military exercise between India and Singapore. So I represented India and sailed on board a Singapore ship. Ship was commanded by a lady officer. Operation officer was a lady officer. That is in the year 2000. Okay. And I completed 14 years and there was no pension, there was no medical benefits. So I have filed a court case along with another 4 officers, 2010 in Delhi High Court. We won the case in Delhi High Court, but Navy went for an appeal to Supreme Court. And last year, 17th March, we won the case, which has opened the path for many young girls to join Sainik School and National Defence Academy. And most probably this Saturday or Sunday, we are likely to get an invite from Prime Minister.
Oh, that's amazing.
Wonderful.
We are waiting for the call from PMO's office. They had called me today. They've taken all the details. If PM is in town, most probably we may get. And also, after we won the case, I have been getting calls from all over the country, including the girls from tribal region, saying that, Madam, because of your court case, now we are eligible to go to Sainik School as well as National Defence Academy. During our time, we could only dream of the Sainik School and National Defence Academy. We thought it will never happen. Even when I filed the case in Supreme Court, I never thought in my lifespan it will come. But now I started getting my pension like a male officer and other benefits after the court case. So I think I have done something, and also I'm into a lot of charitable activity. So we support a lot of girls, we support a lot of people who are in need. So this gives me a lot of satisfaction that I can give back something to the society, whatever I have gained over a period of time.
That really sounds amazing. Okay, so actually you said that you finished 14 years and after that also you didn't get pension. So, I mean, because we're not like known, we don't know a lot about this field. So how is it? Like you do 14 years
there are 2 types of entry. One is a permanent commission officer. So what happens for a boy, he can join after 12, join through National Defence Academy, do all the training and go up to 54 or 56 years. There is no problem. He will get his pension. After 20 years, at any point of time, if he feels that I should go to civil world and work, he will get his monthly pension and the medical facility. For a short service officer, initial engagement is 7 years, then 10 years, then 12, then 14. After 14, you are out. You don't have any extra benefits. What happens after 14 years? You say to a 36, 37 year old, you come out. You don't have a second career. Because what happens? In Navy, I am into multiple activities. But I don't have a certificate to prove that yes, I have experience in this. I can say that jack of all trades. But that is not counted in a civil world to get a good job outside. And also, that is a very crucial time, like you will have 1 or 2 kids and kid maybe say 5 years or 7 years and then you don't have a job. So it's a lot of insecure financial instability. So that is the main reason that if a lady is coming in merit, vacancy is there, whatever the service exigencies, conditions, she should be considered for permanent commission. She should be given a chance. Yes, it's a competition. All cannot be winners, but yes, definitely somebody should get it.